Hi, and welcome to the Synth Voice Network. Today, I have an excerpt from my childhood for you. So sit back, relax, and please enjoy. The year is 2004. I'm 3 years old. My frontal lobe isn't developed, I can't read, and I am a dumb toddler. Oh, and things are kind of blurry. Maybe I needed glasses and didn't know it? Maybe. Now, it's early morning. I'm barely awake, and things are blurry as hell. I stumble into my living room and I'm met with a haunting, yet somehow beautiful sound. Immediately, I'm drawn towards my TV, on which a series of logos flash across my eyes, ingraining themselves in my brain for years to come. And what followed was without a doubt the funkiest intro I have ever heard in my life. If you haven't already guessed, I'm talking about the very first 3D game to feature Spider-Man, coincidentally also called Spider-Man, which was released for the PS1 in the ancient year of 2000. It was an absolute gem, with a kinda corny but in my opinion very well-written story, which includes a whole host of villains from Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery, and a supporting cast of heroes from the expanded Marvel Universe. Sure, the controls were clunky, and the camera to this day makes me want to tear my eyes out of my skull, but that was the norm for games at the time. I can sort of give it a pass. Now, back to toddler me. I had not quite gotten old enough to have big boy hands, and therefore could barely hold a controller, let alone play the game very well. I also couldn't read all that well, so navigating the menus and learning button combos was totally out of the picture. Seriously, I didn't even know how to make the web gloves, or fire that super useful and kinda crucial to beating the game web ball. Yeah, I truly cannot fathom how I beat the Mysterio boss fight. I'm pretty sure they're required for it, but it's been a long time since I did a full playthrough, so my memory's foggy. I might be wrong. Speaking of which, I hated that boss fight so much when I was little. The different platform levels were confusing, and the awful camera combined with the clunky controls did not help me at all. Speaking of the camera screwing me over, let's talk the Venom chase. More specifically, that one part in the Venom chase where you exit the building and you have the 99% chance of getting stuck to the wall instead of actually exiting, leading to an automatic fail. I failed that part so many times because of the camera, and the fact that my tiny little fingies were not big enough to reach all the buttons at once, that I actually cried, real tears of gamer girl rage, and shut off my PS1 after the 9th or 10th or 20th try again, which was honestly a big deal at the time because I didn't have a memory card for the system, and my mom didn't know what that was, so she didn't even know how to buy one. And I know what you're all saying, just get out there, buy one yourself, you dumb baby. And to that I say, well yes, I would have. But I was in fact a dumb baby at the time, and couldn't just hop on over to my local Best Buy to grab one. So I was stuck basically speedrunning the game in one sitting every single time I played, and getting just a little bit farther and a little bit better every time. It also didn't help that I was so scared of the bad guys at the time that I would stick to the ceiling of every level I could and just web snipe every enemy. If one of them spotted me, I freaked out and had to turn my TV off. I'm not joking. And you can imagine my horror when that didn't quite work in the sewer lizards. God, that level terrified me, by the way. I hate the noises they make. Listen to that. Ah, jeez. This is actually starting to sound like a negative review, so let me change course here. Yeah, the game was hard, but I was playing on kid mode, and still barely scraped through it. I was a dumb kid who could barely handle a controller. The same parts that used to frustrate me to tears when I was little are just fine to play on hard now that I'm older. Except for the Venom Chase. The Venom Chase can burn in hell for all I care. And what made up for those difficult sections were the amazing parts of the game that just kept coming. Remember crawling up that burning building while the helicopter tried to get you in its sights and gun you down? Remember carrying that bomb to that ultra funky music and not realizing that all you had to do was put it in the safe and not try to carry it all the way to the elevator like I did? And oh my god, how can I not mention the soundtrack? I mean, sure, I have twice now and you've been listening to it in the background of this entire video, but you haven't truly experienced it until you've played the game.
Give yourself up!
Keep moving. You don't notice it at first, but it complements every scenario, every fight, every web swing. It hangs out in the background and cheers you on from start to finish. And I love it. Every piece of Spider-Man PS1 feels like the developers knew what they were doing and loved Marvel. From all the Easter eggs like the Green Goblin's hideout, the comic book covers you could collect throughout each level that you could view in the main menu, to the fact that every single level had its own custom comic book cover. And finally, the unlockable costumes. Move over, Spider-Man PS4, you weren't the first to do it. Well, technically these games also had unlockable costumes, but both Spider-Man PS1 and PS4 have something that they don't. Every costume does something different. Some have upgrades, some have side grades, and some have downgrades. And one just makes you invincible. I myself picked the Ben Reilly costume every time, purely because of how cool it looked, even though it didn't really have any upgrades. This game is actually probably why the Ben Reilly costume is my favorite Spidey costume of all time. Please, Insomniac, please put it in the next Spidey game. I'm begging you. I've been begging you since Spider-Man PS4, please. Okay, review over. Sweet. Wait a second, wait. What's that sound? What is that?
Whoa! What the? Is that Hawk?
Oh yeah, how could I forget this absolute nightmare fuel? Did I mention this game has symbiotes? Because it has symbiotes. And while Venom is honestly my favorite character in the entire thing...
Mama, you're in the doghouse now, dude.
Coming, honey.
Carnage is just a little terrifying, truth be told. Especially when he fuses with Doc Ock to create one of, if not the scariest thing my 3-year-old eyes have ever witnessed. You want to know how to give a child nightmares? This is it. Just make them play the final mission of Spider-Man PS1, where you're chased by this thing for 10 minutes straight with no way to fight back. It took me years before I was able to beat this thing, because every time I'd hear Monster Ock screeching at me, I just turned the console off. Childhood memories, oh god. Anywho, what's the point of this review? I mean, no real point. I just want to gush about something from my childhood that I loved and still love to this day. Get out there and play this thing. It's good, trust me. I liked it as a kid and I love it as an adult. If you haven't played Spider-Man PS1 in a long time, go order one and relive some memories. If you've never played it before, order it and make some memories. Now with that being said, this is the Synth Voice Network signing off for the night.
Welcome, true believers and newcomers alike. Spider-Man co-creator Stan Lee here. Once again, we find our hero Peter Parker, better known around the world as the Amazing Spider-Man, in a heap of trouble. But this is just the beginning, Spidey fans. So get ready for a true superhero action thriller, packed to the brim with thrills and chills, twists and turns, more supervillains than you can shake a web at, and of course, non-stop web-slinging, wall-crawling action.